for 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us.
We break it down, no script, no mold. Raw and uncut, every gem is gold. Locked in now, let the facts unfold. Q bringing heat on Truth Be Told.
Yo, what's up, squad? Welcome back to the Truth Be Told podcast. I'm your host, Q, and chat, listen. The passage you just heard was from Governor Spencer Cox, governor of Utah. He had prayed that when Charlie Kirk's killer was found, that it wasn't one of them. Now, some of you may ask, who is one of them, or who's one of you? Now, just to put this in context, listening to the press conference, he was speaking of someone from Utah. But if you look up Utah's demographics, Utah is nearly 87% white. So I think we can ascertain what road he was traveling down when he made that comment. Although the speech was eloquent, there were a lot of undertones of a certain type of supremacy. This man said he was actually praying that it was someone from out of state or someone from another country, because he didn't want to be looked at that way. It would be easier to accept. That was a lot to take in. So he kind of let that go. And then this happened.
Over the last 48 hours, I have been as angry as I have ever been, as sad as I have ever been.
So let me stop there real quick. Now, you mean to tell me that in 48 hours that preceded this press conference, this was the most angry that you have ever been, and this is the most hurt that you had ever been? When in all actuality, 2 weeks prior to that, in the state of Minnesota, there was a mass shooting at a Catholic school where two students in that Catholic school, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, were gunned down while they were praying. While they were praying. And those of you who know me by this time know that I don't subscribe to any religion, but what I do subscribe to is empathy for children. Now, I can't tell this man how to run his emotions, what makes him sad, what makes him, what should make him angry or not. But if Charlie Kirk's unaliving took precedence over two praying children inside of a Catholic school, speaks a lot to the character of a lot of people. Because we didn't see this type of outrage for that. The type of outrage that's happening right now, we didn't see that.
And it was, as anger pushed me to the brink, it was actually Charlie's words that pulled me back. I'd like to share some of those. And specifically right now, if I could, I need to talk to the young people in our state, in my state, and all across the country. As President Trump reminded me, he said, you know who really loved Charlie? The youths. And he's right. Young people loved Charlie, and young people hated Charlie. And Charlie went into those places anyway. And these are the words that have helped me. Charlie said, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. He said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The only way out of the labyrinth of suffering is to forgive. Welcome without judgment, love without condition, forgive without limit.
Welcome without judgment. love without condition, and give without limits. This is what you heard Charlie Kirk say. This is what I heard Charlie Kirk say.
So you're comparing abortion to the Holocaust?
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse. Were these blacks trying to go rob her? Happening all the time in urban America. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. Black crime is a major issue in our country. Why are you pushing criminal justice reform exactly? Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson, they're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Now, the southern border is, of course, the great replacement. They're trying to replace us demographically. They're trying to make the country less white. It is an anti-white agenda. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. America was at its peak when we halted immigration for 40 years and we dropped our foreign-born percentage to its lowest level ever. It's like immediately I have like a flashback to a country where weren't able to do Bud Light commercials. What does being trans even mean? Is that even a real thing? It means you need therapy. We must ban trans-affirming care the entire country. I do think that there is a direct correlation between someone's testosterone and their politics. On young men, the lower their testosterone, the more likely they are to be Democratic.
So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, and she was going to give birth and she would, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered. When blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that?
So I'm sorry, are you trying to say that blacks thrive under subjugation?
No, I'm not. I'm asking you the question. The data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil. But what happened? Something changed.
I saw a clip somewhere that you were trying to get the officer who murdered George Floyd pardoned, and I just want to know what your reasoning was about that.
Well, George Floyd didn't die because of the police officer. He died largely because of a drug overdose.
But he had his knee on his neck. And we all saw the video.
But the knee on the neck is actually an approved police technique that police departments taught Derek Chauvin to use. Do you know that George Floyd was saying, I couldn't breathe, well before that restraining technique? And
so why'd they use the technique if he already couldn't breathe?
Well, because he was actually resisting arrest, and they had to restrain him. And they restrained him in a way that they were taught to do, which is the knee on the neck technique.
Okay, so when does the technique end? Like when they die? Like he said he couldn't breathe.
No, I mean the technique ends when the individual stops resisting arrest.
So my question to you is going to be, if I name these three names, could you tell me if they're guilty or not guilty? Okay, so the first one's going to be Carmelo Anthony.
Based on the facts available, absolutely guilty.
Okay. Now, O.J. Simpson.
Oh, absolutely guilty.
Okay. George Zimmerman.
No, self-defense. He was acquitted by a jury of his peers.
Now, if we're going based on facts, what makes the Carmelo Anthony and the George Zimmerman case different?
George Zimmerman was hunted at night by Trayvon Martin at 2 a.m., and the stand your ground law allows you to stand your ground up against people that wish you harm. Carmelo Anthony, with that Austin Metcalf, who he murdered in cold blood, said, don't touch me at a high school track meet, said one thing he didn't like, took out a knife, and then brutally stabbed them to death. Those are not moral equivalents. George Zimmerman and Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony are on different planets morally. Don't ever compare them. That is incredible moral confusion.
But
and I thought you'd be smarter than that.
I am. So I want to debate, how is it hunting when it was confirmed by the police department that that George Zimmerman followed him? It was the other way around.
Again, the facts around the George Zimmerman case, I'll admit, are a little bit rusty. It's been 10 years since that case. What I remember is this. It was highly scrutinized.
Right.
The jury was bipartisan. He was fully acquitted. And when all the facts came out, it was legitimate self-defense. Now, if that ends up happening in the Carmelo Anthony case, I guess I'll reevaluate it.
Right.
But again, they're not even close to in the same moral dimension.
But I would argue that they are, because George Zimmerman was told to stand back by the police department. He had no authority to follow him. And it was a self-defense case where the problem is he who dies does not get to testify. The only fact that was presented in court was based on George Zimmerman's testimony.
Okay, I want to speed this up. I don't think people even know who George Zimmerman is in this audience. This was a decade ago.
So we could go.
So I say that to say this. I'm not trying to throw salt on any open wounds. I'm just trying to give those of you who don't understand why certain people feel the way they do reason to understand why people feel the way they do. We can't pretend like none of these conversations ever happen. We can't pretend that people don't have a right to be angry. We can't keep pretending that there's not a problem in this country that is deeply rooted in racism. Let's stop pretending. People need to acknowledge their wrongdoings, shortcomings, be able to apologize, and try to make amends for things that need to be mended, and then move forward. I'm going to end this commentary right there, because there is a part 3 to this, and I do want to say to those 2 kids who passed away in the Minnesota school shooting, my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to your family. And I hope that you are resting well. And until next time, I'm your host for the Truth Be Told podcast. My name is Q. I'm out.
Truth Be